Hello, Dr. Amy May. Let's talk about The Great Hack and how it was just mind blowing. I had to rewatch it with my husband just to have someone to bounce ideas with. When we talk about weapon grade tactics are strategies using data and technology to manipulate people's opinions on a big and large scale. We could talk about micro targeting. One of the examples was in the film was when I think it was like a lady and she was posting about like taking care of her father. So therefore Facebook's like, okay, she's a caregiver and her father's sick. So let's go after her with, medical and health ads or misinformation, and they're just like targeting her with like the bots and with the ads and the videos and the automated accounts to amplify certain messages. So she was definitely fell victim to that. How are big data being used to skew democracy? Let me see. So when we talk about that, big data is used to skew democracy by creating highly targeted political advertising campaigns that exploit individuals' vulnerabilities and biases. This can lead to the spread of misinformation and the suppression of certain viewpoints and manipulation of election outcomes. The Cambridge Analytica scandal is a prime example when Brittany Kaiser, a former employee, reveals how data was weaponized and influenced elections in multiple countries, including the US and the UK. I was absolutely mind blown with the behavior psychology and when they talked about the Trinidad and Tobago methodology, where they targeted youth and they went for the non-political, non-reactive, and they did the like, let's create a gang and like don't support the movement, the do so campaign, and how they convinced the blacks to not vote. They're like, no, you need to go against government, and the cool thing to do is just to not vote. That's how you make a difference. And by doing so, like they were doing dances and they were all over Twitter and YouTube. And meanwhile, the Indian youth were going to follow what their parents said, and they knew that. They knew that the Indians were going to have to go out there and vote, and therefore they won the election. They swung that by 6% because they had that gang thinking that they were doing something good. Really, they had them in their pocket the whole time. Just like that whole thing, and like how they use that as like a little experiment to see what they could do further up, right? So like that was a small country, and then they did the UK and the US. So social media used in 2020 for election, obviously the election's passed, but it makes me question so much more now. Obviously, the increase used to micro-targeting, disinformation campaigns like the crooked Hillary when they talked about the previous election, the manipulate online conversations. They want you to see what they want you to see, right? So they're like skewing. I mean, and the deep fakes, like it's wild to me. I didn't know about that until I did my research library class, and just it's crazy how much AI and like old videos, and you can like muster it all together. What ethical responsibilities do social media platforms have to police content and protect users? They need to protect us. Come on now. Social media platforms have ethical responsibility to prevent the spread of harmful content, such as hate speech, disinformation, incitement to the violence. They should also protect user privacy and data security and be transparent about their algorithms and content moderation policies. This includes combating manipulation and interfering adequate access to information. I mean, another example would have been COVID-19, the pandemic, and how they had misinformation about vaccines and treatments. And to address this, they implemented a fact-checking labels and removing misleading posts. But algorithms will always bring you back to that. And because of that, we got the Cambridge Analytica scandal exposed how Facebook allowed third parties to harvest millions of users' data without their consent. Because of that, European Union introduced a general data protection regulation, which forces companies to explicit their user consent in collecting data. Platforms should provide users with an ultra clear and wide accessibility privacy settings and ability to opt out of data tracking. Oh my God, mind blown. I want to like delete my Facebook. I'm wearing a watch right now, so they know they know my medical, they know how much I walk. I have like eating apps, I have grocery store apps. I mean, I'm being tracked everywhere. I have Alexa listening right now. I shouldn't have watched this before bed. I could talk about this so much more. I feel like I'm talking fast because I have so much to say on this subject. Thank you, Amy.